Hey, I'm Vicky. I'm from Georgia, and you're watching Etsy Shop Audits.
Now, right here, that would give me an idea. I'd be like, oh, Farmhouse Post-it notes.
Yeah.
Gnomes. People love Farmhouse. They're all into Farmhouse decor right now, right?
Yep.
Like it's hot. So it's like, why don't we do that, right? All right, Vicky, welcome to Etsy Shop Audits. Super excited you're here. I'm going to go ahead and do a little rundown here of everything that you gave us before we did this. And then from there, we're going to dig in. All right. So shop name, Southern Roads Art Studio. 3 years is the shop age, approximately, probably a little bit longer now, because I think when you did the intake here, it might have been a month or so ago. I'm not quite sure. The niche, vintage cars, trucks, old barns. You're laughing. I know. Gnomes, whimsical designs, and commission painting.
That's right.
So there's a lot there. We're going to dig into that. You knew that was coming. All right.
Yes.
So sticking point, conversions, basically sales. We're going to definitely work on that. And then total revenue to date, 6,500-ish. And then income goal is 1,000 a month, 12,000 a year. Does that sound about right?
That's correct.
All right, cool. So why don't you get us caught up to date? Like, where did your journey start on Etsy? And then maybe tell us where your sticking points are.
Yeah. So this is not my first Etsy shop. This is my second one. My first one was probably about 12 years ago, and it was all original artwork, which it didn't do very well. Actually, I don't think I had any sales, but I didn't have any background in e-commerce, and I really didn't tend to the shop like I should have, basically out of ignorance, because I just didn't know what I was doing.
Okay.
So I shut that down, and then I opened this shop beginning of 2021, February, I think. Again, original artwork.
Okay.
So that year, my company I worked for at the time was strictly all e-commerce. And they started converting a lot of what we did in-house to print on demand. So I learned print on demand, and basically it's a whole new world as an artist. Mm-hmm. To me, I think about it like an author, right? You write a book, you write it once, and then you can make residual sales off of it. Sure. So very guilty. I'm going to use your words, Scott. I threw a lot of spaghetti at the wall.
Okay. Time to clean it up. Time to clean it up, right?
No, that's what I've been doing this year, to be honest. I've taken down probably 200 designs.
Okay.
Recently, within the last not even 6 months, I think I started using Canva.
Okay.
Which has allowed me to really up my design game with my own original illustrations and my artwork. Has it helped in sales? No, my sales are down this year over last year.
Well, ours are too. I mean, we're hearing that more and more. I just talked to my wife the other day about it again, and I was trying to explain to her exactly what I'm explaining to everybody here. It's like, there's a lot of variables. There is more competition. Etsy has made some changes, so we can't really necessarily worry about that. We can only do what we can do.
Right.
And I think as long as we know we're covering all the bases, we're giving Etsy what they want, then that's all we can do there. But we can do so much more over there. And meaning, like, I just, we did our Etsy shop audit with Dave, who, we talked all about building his email list, and because it's super, super important. But it's really hard to build an email list if you're throwing spaghetti at the wall. Right. And it was funny because Chris and I, on a live stream we did just the other day, I did a little bit of a rant on someone that was a guru that was advertising, do not pick a niche. Like, that's the worst thing that you can do. And I was like, this person obviously hasn't built e-commerce companies in the past. Like, we have. I'm not saying we're better than them, but I am saying, like, if you don't have a niche, if you don't have something specific that you can target, it's really, really hard, because you have to figure out the next sale, the next customer, not even the next sale, the next customer. I got to go find a new customer, instead of just, let me find a customer, then let me find more things to sell that customer. So much easier.
Right.
And so with that all being said, yes, Etsy might be down for some. And we actually polled our community here on YouTube and we got about 500 responses. And I think it was around 65% said that their sales were down for September. So it is what it is, nothing we can do there. But what we can do is we can focus on the things that we can control. And also we can focus on, are we optimizing what we currently have? And that's what we're going to do here today for you, hopefully. So would you say like right now, like if you could walk away with one thing from today, because there's only so much we're gonna be able to cover in this.
Right.
What is the one thing? If you can walk away and go, man, I'm good now. Like,
yeah, maybe, I don't know. To give you just not to take up too much time, but my background, besides being a scatterbrain artist, my background is in operations, warehouse operations. So marketing is not necessarily advertising. The understanding how the ads are working or not working for me, that would be something that would be very, very useful for me. Gotcha. I'm already working. Look, you'll be proud. I have my fishbowl.
There you go.
As of last night, though, I started a new ad. Somebody from another country, I won't name, decided they wanted to try to hack my Facebook ad account. So I got, in 24 hours, I had like 15 people sign up for my current promotion, but right now it's restricted. So I've kind of figured out through trial and error what product bundle is resonating to get me those signups.
Okay.
So I will continue on that path.
So let me ask you then. So that's a great segue for us. So, okay, looking at your shop, actually, Chris, let's pull up the shop and let's kind of look at it. Okay. So Southern Roads Art Studio. Okay. And you've got some gnomes there. Like you said, you had some gnome stuff. You got the art, the paint palette there. So we got that and we got your picture. Perfect. Like all that stuff is good. Spooky season's here. Great. Because you've updated your announcement. Great. Love that. So all this stuff is good, but you just said that there's 3 products that people would buy together, right? What are those 3 products?
My current promotion is I've bundled that one calendar right there. It's not even like the $100 thing like you talk about. I've bundled this desk calendar with a kind of corresponding gnome theme wall calendar.
Okay. So basically we're targeting people that like gnomes.
Yeah. That has become kind of my bread and butter.
Okay. Great. So that's kind of the question is like you in your intake, we have vintage cars, we have, like a bunch of other things, right? That's your throwing spaghetti at the wall or throwing niches at the wall and seeing what one sticks. So this would be the question for you. Like, yes, this is sticking. Is this something that you would like to work on? And are you, I don't want to say passionate, 'cause you don't have to be like passionate, but do you enjoy, you just enjoy art in general, correct?
Correct. But painting these old trucks, these old barns, those are, as an artist, that's what's near and dear to my heart. But I've had fun with the gnomes.
Okay.
And they've kind of taken on a life of their own within my store, as you can see.
And that's the point I'm kind of seeing here and that I'm trying to make is like, and that was the thing I was going to basically address with you is like, okay, we have all of these different niches, but excuse me, but they're not necessarily going together.
Right.
So we have to pick something, right? And if this is already showing signs of life for you and you can create some artwork and you can put it there, then you can also, like, I look at this and I don't know anything about like gnomes, but I know like probably there's some like whimsical stuff. There's like fairy stuff, like maybe that garden stuff, like maybe there's some cross sub niches that we could probably tie in here, but there might be enough just to go on for the gnome stuff for right now. And so when you advertised your giveaway for the gnome stuff, and you said you got 15 signups, like, before my account got restricted. I was steady getting
people signing up for that. And that I ran that identical promotion.
Hey, real quick, I wanted to give you a little behind the scenes on how these Etsy shop audits even happen. Every single month, Chris Schaefer and I, we meet and we batch record 3 to 4 of these episodes. Then they get edited and they get posted like the one you're watching right now. But what we decided to do is create what we call our Backstage Pass Club. This is where all of our club members, they get to join us on that recording as we're doing it live. The other cool thing is you're able to ask questions, and you also can get access to the recordings before they ever air, immediately, raw and unedited. You even get all the questions that were asked that you might have missed because, well, maybe you couldn't attend that one live. So if you'd like to be part of our Backstage Pass Club and join our next batch recording session, head on over to brandcreators.com/club or click the link in the description. Now let's get back to the audit.
About 6 weeks ago, I've run a couple.
Mm-hmm.
One was with one of the Gnome Garden flags, and it did okay.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I bundled those 2 calendars on the next one, it was just every day I was getting signups. So I kind of let probably about 6 weeks go, and I said, well, that worked. I'm going to run this one again.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only up for about 24 hours. So I don't know how long Facebook's going to kind of keep my account down. I understand it's also for my own protection, right?
Sure.
So hopefully that will get resolved. I have reached out to them. But I get what you're saying, because I often make the joke. I've spent 30 plus years as a fine artist,
mm-hmm.
and these gnomes are what's working for me.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been consistently working. But I can see, as somebody comes into my shop, it could also create confusion.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and I'm glad that you see that, because sometimes people don't see that, but you see it, you understand it, and you're smart. I mean, you understand how it works. It's just, as an artist, like you said, it's hard because you're like, oh, I want to draw that, or I want to paint that, or I want to do that, and that's fine. But if you want to turn this into a business, we have to look at it like a business, right? We have to look at, like, okay, customer comes in, they buy one thing. Maybe they'll buy 2 or 3 if I have something else that they can buy. And then maybe if they come in later, I'll have something else I can send them. And if someone's into gnomes, they might be into, I don't know, frogs. Like, I don't know, like, there's these other things that you could probably start to see that there's, and like that there, Chris, like the vintage barn, like you can still have that, but maybe have a gnome in it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like, I'm serious. Like I'm saying, like a gnome in like a fairy tale-ish kind of, like that. That's what I think of. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I'm still saying you can incorporate some of the things that light you up about art, but you just have to tie it in somehow to the gnomes right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm seeing. So up to the top there, Chris, on the banner, we probably want to update the banner.
Yeah.
Right. We want this to be more around that, like you kind of did. So, you know what I mean? Like you might want to play with that. Now you have there, I like that. Join our VIP list for exclusive discounts.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Great. You must have watched one of our videos where we said
I've watched many of them. Yes.
Yeah. So there you go. Love that.
Just 1 or 2. Yeah.
Anything you're seeing, Chris, that you wanted to dig into?
Well, so the first thing, and this is kind of what you guys have been talking about in the background here, and I guess it's not in the background because I'm sharing my screen. I went through your sales history, Vicky. I went through 6 pages, I think. There were 3 things or 4 things that were not gnomes, right? So what that tells me is that is the niche of this shop. And when Scott read your intake form, I said, okay, that's a niche. That's also a niche. That's also a niche. And there's not a lot of crossover in those things. The old cars, I think, is the hardest thing to incorporate here. And if you really love painting old cars, there's nothing wrong with that. Let's start an old car Etsy shop, right? And have that do what it's going to do and make this focused around the gnomes, the whimsy, a lot of those kinds of things. And quite honestly, your artistic style does lend itself to the, like, cottage core look and feel a little bit.
Right.
And so even like you were saying, Scott, a lot of these things, like the covered bridge, right? We don't have to just throw a gnome on it. We could, right? But if it fits enough with the niche, then we can do it, right? When in doubt, throw a gnome on it. If you take nothing else away from this audit, that I think is a solid piece of advice. But looking through here, the vast majority of this stuff does play into that niche, and that's what we're seeing people do. That's what we're seeing people purchase. That's what we're seeing resonate with people. And so if we can focus this around that, we will see higher conversion rates and more repeat customers because they know exactly what they're going to get. They're not going to come back into the homepage and see a truck here the next time and go, what?
Yeah.
They're going to see something gnome or whimsy or cottage core related, which is something that they've resonated with in the past.
I'm not, my feelings aren't hurt because I've often felt that I started in one direction and then I don't even know, one of my kids, something came up about a gnome, and I am very guilty of having the hyperfocus sometimes. So I literally have a stack of drawings like this of gnomes because they've just evolved into little characters into my life, right? So the art is the art for me. That never goes away. And this is the business I want to build. So if it takes a bunch of fun gnomes, I'm still having fun. So,
and that's the important part. You know what I mean? Like I want you to still have fun, and that's what, and you want to still be able to incorporate. And I just think, like Chris was saying, your paintings are beautiful. So like they could stand on their own. But you have that style already. It looks like that you could bring that whimsical fairy tale-y kind of feel. So you already have the skill set for that. So I guess what I'm saying is like, you're already kind of built for it.
Right. And I have a painting in my art room in there that on a 30 by 40 canvas that's nothing but like it's an entire fairy tale village, because obviously I'm committed to keeping up with this whole direction I'm going in.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love it. So I guess you already kind of figured that part out because you looked at your numbers and you saw the stuff, but now you were seeing it, and it's like you telling us, like immediately it's like, okay, well, let's go in that direction. Right. Like let's take our time and energy and go in that. And like Chris was saying, if you want an outlet to draw and still be able to sell it, you could open another Etsy shop. Me personally, like in doing that, it's like you said, you started another Etsy shop before this and it didn't really do that good, but you put art in it. The thing is with art is you have to have wherever the art is being purchased for, that needs to be the thing, right? We had another artist on here and same idea. And she draws a lot of ocean stuff because she lives near the ocean. So it's like, okay, but you have to then go after beachfront decor, right? Like people are not just going to go on there and just search for random artwork. Some might, but people, you have to find the search intent.
Right.
That's what we got to find. And when we're talking gnomes,
I have your note.
There you go.
What is the customer search intent? This is from one of your videos, and I keep this on my computer because it reminds me, where am I going with this, right? Because I just need that reminder. What are they looking for? And that helps me a lot to dial that back when I'm trying to pick products.
That's great. That's great.
And learning too, not to, I'm a bargain shopper. So, but I've taught myself, I don't have to worry about what somebody else's budget is, because if somebody wants something, they're going to buy it.
Exactly.
And a perfect example in my store are those crazy PostIt notes. I would never in my life pay $11 for a sheet of 50 PostIt notes, but that's been one of my best sellers the last few months. And that's how I lost my star seller rating, to be honest. I was a star seller until this month.
Oh, wow.
And mostly it came down to, even though I'm getting some sales, I don't know, for whatever reason, I'm not getting the reviews. So that kind of dinged me on that piece of it. Plus I had a 3-star review, kind of funny because I had somebody from Australia order a pad of those Post-it notes and paid $19.99 in shipping and gave me a 5-star I love it review. The next woman in the US was disappointed that it was only 50 sheets for the price. And I'm like, well, it's in the product description, but
that is hard. Now, on something like that, you just probably want to go back into your description and go, okay, I got to make sure I'm very, very clear on how many come with this, right? So that's just something like, note, or, just something that is in bold and that just says in capitalized and just saying like 50 come to a sheet. You'll be getting one sheet, like literally spell it out. And even though you do that, you're still gonna have people that are gonna be like, I didn't realize that. And you're like, right. Okay. I know no one reads anymore.
Right. I get that. And it happens.
Yeah. So. But I mean, it's still got 5 stars. It says there. So you're still at a 5-star. This year's converting at 5.68%, which is great. Okay, people are going to have to buy more of these. That's the beautiful thing about a product like this. So something you could do here, Chris, go back up to the top again. And you do have buy together there down below. I saw that. How many? So this is one little pad, right? So it's one pad. Do you have anything to get 3 pads, 4 pads, 5 pads?
No, but I could do that because I did that with, even though I'm using Printify for the calendars.
Yeah.
I did do a bundle with those where you buy 2 at a little bit discount and you get free shipping.
Okay.
And even though I have to manually manipulate that back, it's not terrible to go in.
Yeah, right there.
And just add another one into it.
Okay.
So I could do, I hadn't thought about that. I could do those as a bundle or even a bundle of the different designs.
Yeah.
You could do it as a quantity discount, or you are using the newer bundle feature here. The thing is, even though these are both gnome things, it's not necessarily the next thing that somebody would buy if they're buying office supplies. Right. So something that might be better here than the crew neck sweatshirt might be the desktop calendar or one of the other sets of gnome post-it notes.
Well, that right there, the buy together, I didn't do that I'm aware of.
That might just because she added the free shipping.
Yeah. Over a certain dollar amount, they get free shipping.
So then they'll pick them for you. But if you set up the listing bundle, like Chris is saying, that'll be forced to come in there.
Okay.
So you would want to probably do that.
Okay. Because I did it with these calendars right here.
And I do like it that, I mean, these are like, people are going to have to buy more of them, right? They like them. They're going to have to buy more, but it also is a great way for you to come up with like a new one that someone could buy. And if someone is on an email list that's into gnomes, they're going to then say, oh, they have a holiday one. I want to get the holiday one. Right. And then they buy that. So that's a great way to do that. Now, this is a low ticket price. I'd want to see you now. Okay. Sweatshirt, blanket, right? Those types of things. And then that way there, we can get that cost up.
I do have just your thoughts, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Apparel has not really been a seller for me.
Okay.
A few tank tops here and there, a couple t-shirts, but that was one of the items that I took a lot of them off my store just to I guess my thinking was focus on more of the novelty type items because what I do hear over and over again, I don't listen to a lot of different podcasts. I'm very selective because to me, it's just overload. I mean, I had a call with Philip from Everbee yesterday, and he just wanted my feedback on Everbee research. And he's like, do you use eRank or do you use, I'm like, no, I don't have that much bandwidth. It's just, but, so I've taken off a lot of the apparel, just left a little bit for holiday season to see what it might do. I don't want to really go heavy on that because I don't see it going anywhere for me because there's so many people selling shirts.
There are. But I think eventually you're going to want those in there because even though that's not going to be the thing that draws people in, the Post-it notes might draw people in. And now we show them the other things. Like if you were telling me you were deleting off or you're, archiving, I don't know, the trucks, the vintage trucks, then yeah. Okay. But if anything that is gnome related, I'd want to keep it in there just because, and I'm not thinking like that. I might not even be advertising that. I might not even be advertising the sweatshirt. I might not be advertising the blanket that's $85, right? But I'm going to get 1 or 2 sales just because it's in there because someone that comes in from the Post-it is going to see it and is going to buy it, right? I think the other play here for you coming into, I mean, we're in Q4, but kind of getting even closer to Christmas is definitely the Christmas stuff with gnomes. But I would say ornaments, stockings, like that stuff. Get on that. Like,
well, ASAP. They sold. They sold for me last year, and I left them on there, and I've added some other ones.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
Ahead of this year.
So it's like any of that stuff, because we are leaning into the holidays. Yeah. And so what's that, Chris? That's a stickers. Okay. So stickers.
So I'm still just going through her sales history.
Yeah.
And it seems to me, and again, it may just because we don't have the other like whimsy art stuff and people really are buying this for the characters, that it's much more of the, like, how do I incorporate this in my everyday life stuff? Right. So it's the Post-it notes or the gnome case or whatever versus the apparel. And yes, there is some apparel here, but it's really a way for people to show off their personality in a way that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do it. And they can't necessarily wear a gnome shirt to work, but they sure as heck can bring their gnome Post-it notes. Right. And that's going to be their little piece of whimsy on their desk at work. There's nothing wrong with that. But what we need to try to figure out is if that's the buying behavior for this audience, one, can we incorporate some things with the same characters like pillows and blankets, even if it's not apparel, and start to sell those? And then 2, are there higher priced ways that we can start to sell some of the more personal touches? I'm not sure how else to classify that. Somebody can let me know. But the like pieces of flair, right? To quote Office Space, how can we show off personality in places where we might not otherwise be able to do it? That appears to be that way. So are there other types of products that we can incorporate into the store that allow people to do that do have a higher price point that'll help us increase those margins for us?
At one point in time, maybe over the summer, the lamps, all of a sudden there was just a spike in sales in the lamps. So I've seen those spikes and then it just kind of goes away. I do know having the email list is going to help me because I feel eventually I'm ready. I think probably next year to move away from Etsy because Etsy's kind of hard. I feel like I just kind of feel limited sometimes without that, but I don't know. I may stay. Because there's a lot to think about that. I think it's very easy to say I'm going to do Shopify, but then you have to worry about your own taxes. And there's just all those other things you have to worry about.
Well, yeah. And again, like, the old saying, right? Grass isn't always greener on the other side, right? Like I've been on both sides. I've played on both sides. They're both great, but the other does take a lot more. It really comes down to traffic. It comes down to like they're giving you traffic, but they're also giving you ways for you to be able to build a website out technically, right? They have cross-selling things. You can get all that stuff in Shopify. You can do all that stuff, but you got to then add a plugin and you got to then connect the plugin. And then you got like people don't realize there's a lot to connect behind the scenes and Etsy's making that available. So right now, like I wouldn't even like, yes, I'm glad you said maybe next year. Right. Let's pause. And let's okay, now that we've got focus, we're the gnome lady now, right? Like that's what you are, right?
Right.
The happy gnome lady.
That's right. There's actually a shop on Etsy. We don't have to look it up today, but it's called Wendy's Gnome Shop. And
pull it up, Chris.
This woman has been on Shark Tank.
Okay, well, there you go. Do we need any more proof here?
No.
Right? You're just going to dress up as a gnome.
That's right.
Be on your website or on your Etsy shop in a video. So, I mean, what we're talking about here though is like just getting focused and then getting everything else cleaned up, getting everything dialed in. And then your vision is really, okay, I'm going to be able to create because you love creating.
Yeah.
And I'm just creating for this niche right now and I'm having fun with it. And then you go from there. Yeah. She's got the rate at the top. Beautiful. 31,000 sales. Okay. So she's selling like actual gnomes.
Right. That she's making herself.
Yep. That she's making herself. Cute.
I just stumbled across that one day and I'm like, wow, okay. I feel validated.
There you go. Yeah, Chris, let's take a look at some of these. I just want to see what she's selling the most.
I think she's my understanding, because, you know, I'm on her email list.
Farmhouse gnome.
Yeah. Is,
hey, I wanted to cut in here real quick. If you're wondering what tool we're using to gather all of this information and to really make these important decisions on products, well, the tool is called Everbee. It's the only tool that we personally use for everything Etsy. They have everything from product research, keyword research, and they also offer email marketing now. That tool you can get access to absolutely free when you visit brandcreators.com/Everbee, and you'll get 10 free searches for the month. You can try it out before you invest in this tool. My recommendation is every single Etsy seller should be using this tool. So if you want to try it, go to brandcreators.com/Everbee, and you can go ahead and get access to it immediately. All right, let's get back to the audit.
I think she's still selling on Etsy, but she also has an independent website.
Oh, I'm sure she does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now right here, now that would give me an idea. I'd be like, oh, Farmhouse PostIt notes.
Yeah.
Of gnomes. People love Farmhouse. They're all into Farmhouse decor right now, right?
Yep.
Like it's hot. So it's like, why don't we do that? Right? You're not technically creating what she's creating. You're just spinning off of the Farmhouse gnome.
Right.
Obviously.
Right.
I mean, look at it. It's gotten 209,000 views, 849 reviews, 2,695 sales.
Right.
How long has this listing been up, Chris?
4 years.
4 years. The listing's been up for 4 years. Let's go back to her shop. But you see that this is fun now, because now we get to go through and go, okay, this lady's already proven. And now let's see, what are some of the themes that people are buying off of? Can you run those numbers again, Chris? And yeah,
I didn't, you know what? I didn't think about analyzing her shop within Everbee. That would have been smart.
Oh yeah. This is gold right here.
And Scott, I think you just made a good point. Since we're not hand making gnomes,
right,
it's even better to do this, because what we're then looking at is, what are people searching for that is a modifier for that keyword, right? What is the search intent to your little Post-it note, which I'm very disappointed is not on one of your own gnome Post-it note stacks. We should probably fix that.
I'm not going to spend that much money on them.
We have Farmhouse, which goes right along with it, right? Farmhouse, Beach, Max from the Grinch, Flamingo, right? So it's Turkey. Holiday gnomes.
Yeah, I have a Grinch gnome too, but I always feel like I have to be very careful. I learned early on in the art world, you have to be very careful about trademark stuff, because
I wouldn't necessarily put Grinch in there or anything like that.
No.
But I think like right here, like Chris is saying, like we're just looking at some of the themes that she's done and that she's tested. And then we're like, oh, cool. We're going to do a strawberry lemonade thing, right? Because people are searching for it. But in this case, like some things are obvious, like ghost costume, obviously, right? That's Halloween. But the name of it is Ghost Costume Gnome, White Ghost Gnome, Halloween Gnome. Yeah. So right there, those are like the main keywords that are driving traffic to that listing. Fall rustic home or gnome, autumn gnome, fall leaf and acorn. Boom. There we are. Right. So I'm just looking at this as like, what are the themes that people are searching for? Like Chris said, with a keyword modifier of the thing, like farmhouse, turkey, Thanksgiving.
There's a ton of ideas here. And that's, you know what I've always said, I've taught art, and I always tell people this, none of us are inventing the wheel. especially as an artist, we're just taking a little bit of this, we're taking a little bit of that, and then we make it something our own.
Exactly.
I think everybody does that. If they tell
100%.
you something different, I think they're lying. But
I think this shop really stands out to me as a place to do research for a couple reasons. One, we just looked at your shop and we said, hey, the way that a lot of people are using this is as like a personality accent, right? They're saying, hey, this is my gnome pin. If you can give them that same character at Christmas, at Halloween, at Easter, at the 4th of July or whatever, you're going to start to see a massive increase in repeat sales. Because the reason they're buying it is to show off their personality and because they resonate with that particular character, right? And I know they're not gnomes and that everybody's going to yell in the comments, but what makes me, what I'm thinking of here is like the Smurfs, right? Like if you really like Papa Smurf, you're going to put Papa Smurf in a Santa hat. You're going to put Papa Smurf on Halloween. Snoopy, same thing, right? There's all the different Snoopy specials, and people who are really into Snoopy, my aunt being one of them, has a Snoopy for every Halloween, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Kwanzaa, Passover, everything that you can imagine, right? And so what we can do by looking at this is say, hey, maybe I don't even have to do a ton of extra work. Maybe I just take my popular characters and start hammering at locations and holidays.
Which I can, I can already tell you, of all the ones I've designed, one of the very first one, he hangs here on my wall. And there's one other one that have been my 2 most popular designs across different things, either stickers or magnets or the garden flags. Those 2 have so far. And then I've had good luck with a new Christmas one I did last year. So I previewed him kind of late in Q4. So I'm curious to see what that does this year.
And so like right now too, because we're heading into Thanksgiving, right? And then we're heading into Christmas, you could do a giveaway for each of those, right? And make it a Thanksgiving gnome bundle, a Christmas gnome bundle.
I like that.
You know what I mean? And then we're just focusing on those 2. Those are our lead capture little, marketing things that we're doing, right? To build up our email list while the traffic is out there. And then we're also creating products for that season because you should be doing that anyway. Right. And so now we have them and we're building the email list and we can let those people know, but we're also just capitalizing on getting the people on our list that we know are into gnomes.
Right.
Which
is which Facebook has been really, I find it is my go-to. Even for selling artwork through the years, Facebook was always a good resource for me over like Instagram or something else like that. But I just have to get my ad account back active and I can continue on that path.
Yeah. So, and I mean, as long as you've, again, it's probably just it's one of their, I guess, check. Chris, you would know better than any of us, but it's probably just a check that they're doing. And then from there, you'll appeal it and then you'll get your account reinstated. Right. It's generally how it works.
Let's hope so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually on an upward path with it, but I mean, I can definitely see where there was outside activity. So I appreciate them being diligent and, doing their part. So.
Yep. So, and when did that happen?
Last night.
Okay. Yeah. So it's early. So, so we should, fingers crossed, we'll get that re-engaged. But other than that, I think you already knew what you needed to do. You just needed to hear it. And I think also finding that other lady's store and being able to use that as validation. And that's just one store. There's probably others, but again, you're not directly competing with her. You're just letting her kind of like sample some of those other seasons. Farmhouse being one of them. Like Farmhouses are top. So if you don't have stuff with the title Farmhouse Gnome in it, you better start creating that.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be at the top of my list. I do have 2 questions for you guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
Using Everbee email, and because I'm new with Everbee email,
sure.
Because I know we all get inundated with a lot of emails, right?
Yep.
So what is a good open rate?
Good open rate, I would say it's going to depend. If you have a small list, and I'd say small, like under 1,000, your open rate is going to be higher. Okay. Say higher. So I would say 40% to 50% on a small list of 1,000 less. Okay.
Okay.
If once you get over 1,000, you're going to see that's going to start to drop a little bit. If you get up to a 5,000, it's going to drop even more. If you're averaging 20 to 25%, you're doing above average.
So right now I'm seeing between 15 and 20.
Okay. How many are we sending to?
Right now I looked this morning, I have like 70 people on there.
Okay. That's small.
Yeah.
And you're getting a 10 or a 15.
So it makes me wonder though, if I don't need to look, because I've heard you guys talk about this before, to like try to avoid it ending up in somebody's spam.
Yep. Are you
That's
putting
what-
images in the email?
Yeah, I'm using Everbee to like typically put, like, you think that might be part of the problem?
Yeah.
Leave
I want
the
you
images
to do this
just
test.
turned into gnome-shaped bobbleheads.
Yeah. I want you to do this test for us.
Okay.
And it might take 2 times to do it, but
Okay.
the very first email that you send next, I want it to be nothing but you writing text with maybe 1 link.
So I have my welcome sequence built out in there, and I did set it up to put like maybe bestsellers, whatnot. I can go and take those off.
Take them off.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's good to know.
Just take
Okay.
take that stuff out of there. Any type of HTML, basically code that is in there, it's a flag to the email provider that it's coming through with advertising is really what they're looking at it. So if you what I do is I don't use any themes, I don't use templates, I don't use any of that stuff. If you get my emails, right now, you get my emails. You see I usually don't have any images in there. Right. And usually if I put a smiley face, it's a text style. It's not the emoji even. Right.
Okay.
So the reason why is because that gets through the promotions and the spam filters way more than the other.
Okay. That makes sense.
And then the ones I'm writing for my wife's shop in Everbee email, I don't use any images ever.
Okay. All right. I will go back and make adjustments there. And I just have one other question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I heard some advice recently, because this year I went in and I kind of sat on the fence for a little while about it, as far as offering my original illustrations as digital downloads. And I've got some on there, but a big part of me wants to take them off. But I've also heard somebody say that they don't recommend print on demand and digital because it creates, Etsy doesn't know where to kind of slot you. You don't agree?
No.
Okay.
No. We just went from this to this, right? on the email thing. Scott and I were both doing this.
Yeah.
Now we need gnome bobbleheads with Scott's face on them. I think it'd be great. But
That would be great.
I love it.
Etsy looked at the customer. And so if you are selling everything, then that can become a problem because they don't know who the customer is. But if you're selling things to people who like gnomes, the people who are buying the digital downloads, the Post-it notes, the gnome pillows, that's all the same customer. So they're going to have a really good idea of who that customer is. It's yet another reason Scott and I are fans of the niche-based approach. It makes it easier for Etsy to identify who the customer is. Doesn't matter if it's custom art, doesn't matter if it's handmade pottery, it doesn't matter if it's digital, print on demand. As long as you're marketing to a similar audience, Etsy's going to have a really good idea of who that ideal customer is. The other thing, at least for now, not a huge portion of the algorithm, right? They're moving more towards a recommendation algorithm and away from a keyword intent algorithm, because they know that recommendations can get them to where they want to be. But even with that in mind, it's about the types of products and the customer that you are selling to. That's the direction that they would lean versus, no one who buys digital stuff ever buys a physical thing. That's a silly assumption to make, right? I'm going to buy a physical version of it if I don't have the canvas to print it on. But if I do, or I have a shop right down the street that can do it for me, I'll buy the digital version. I don't care. What I care is the subject matter. And that's really where Etsy's focus is.
Okay. All right. That was my other big question. And Scott, you need to be careful, because last year I did draw my son as a gnome. So don't be careful what you ask. Okay?
That would be great. I'm not opposed to that, by the way. I'm all about having a good time and having some fun. And you ask my 16-year-old, she's putting that phone in my face to do funny stuff with filters on my face and stuff all the time. If that stuff ever got leaked out, I don't know what would happen. It would be pretty crazy because I'm pretty silly out there. But yeah, bobblehead would be nice. I think I should get one, Chris. It's a bobblehead of me, and it just says like stay focused or something, or take action. And then you just hit it once, you know, and it's like this. It's like, hey, get going. Yeah, and you're just bouncing around. Anyway, so I think you got a clear path. I think this has been helpful for me, for you to know, like you were kind of all over. You brought yourself back on your own, by the way. And then today was just us going like, yep, good job, Vicky.
Maybe just the validation I needed, but that I guess maybe that again comes back to shop name. Is that really, how important is that?
It's not super, super important, but I like it. Right. Versus it just being like Vicky's art store.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like I wanted to represent the brand. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know that you have to call it Gnomes, right? But something that would have a flair of maybe fun. I mean, Gnomes would be good because then it's in the name, but then you're also kind of like locked to where everything you create will always be Gnomes, which in this shop, it might be.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's something you got to jump to right now. I do think that your banner, I would make that more of the products and more close-ups versus it being so far away. And I wouldn't try to put too much in there. I would just put maybe the Post-it notes, like put that like up in there so you can see Gnome, right? But I think, yeah, I wouldn't stress too much about that. I think right now it's about just getting focused on Farmhouse Gnomes and like getting those things created.
And
that's what I would say.
Finish cleaning it up.
Clean it up. Let's get it reorganized, and then let's start heading down the road of Gnomes and Thanksgiving and then Christmas. And obviously, we just learned a Farmhouse, so I want to start doing some Farmhouse stuff. That would be like the order I would probably do it in. And obviously, I would want to do a bundle as soon as possible for a giveaway for Thanksgiving, for a Gnome Thanksgiving, right? And then start building that email list like you were. In, before you had Etsy or not Etsy, Facebook come in, Meta come in and go, you got to be careful.
Well, no, it wasn't Meta. It was somebody actually hacked my ad account.
Oh.
And was trying to run some kind of random ad. So
interesting.
Meta came in and kind of restricted my account.
Got it.
To protect me. So it wasn't, they weren't frowning on my ad. They were protecting me from getting hacked.
From getting hacked. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, Vicky, I think we have a good plan. Do you think we have a good plan?
I think so.
All right, cool. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to run off and do your homework and you're going to be enjoying the heck out of it. And then you're going to report back to us after the holidays. And I want to hear an update from you, and maybe we'll even get you back on and we can do another update and see what the shop looks like. We can see the new products. We can see how the email list is doing, and we can do a check-in.
Okay. Sounds good.
That sound good?
Yep. Sounds good.
All right. Now run off and do your homework.
All right. Thanks, guys.
So that's a wrap for this Etsy shop audit. But if you want to watch more, well, you can find some more right here. And if you do, well, I'll see you there.